welcome to Random Gaming Talk. It's Entertainment Talk's podcast for video games. I'm your host Matthew. Joining me today, my co-host is Robert. How are you doing?
I'm doing it. How you doing today?
Doing all right. Doing good. So what have you been playing within the last week or so?
A little bit of Animal Crossing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of torn on that game. I mean, it's fun, but it also kind of gets to be like very job-like in a way because you got to kind of do this, that, and the other things.
Look after things, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fairly consistently. So, been playing more uh, 7 Days to Die. I didn't know that Gears Tactics was PC first, so I downloaded that as part of this Game Pass and started playing that a little bit. That has potential. A lot of story. You wouldn't think that a tactical turn-based kind of a game like that would have that deep of a story, but it actually does, which was
Hmm.
surprisingly fresh.
Cool.
Uh, Other than that, not really much.
Okay. Do you think I would like Animal Crossing?
I don't know. I mean, it's definitely designed more on the younger side. When I say the younger side, I mean like sub 18. It's a very good game. It's just one of those things you got to like task jobs. Like there's basically what it is you get to a point where you start doing tasks and then you basically make your own fun, kind of like Minecraft.
Uh-huh.
Um, so you have to decide, okay, I want to make this or I want to get to this point or something like that, and that has to be a gameplay style that you enjoy. Otherwise, it's not really going to click.
Okay. So a little bit Sims-esque, kind of.
Sims-esque, kind of, yeah.
Okay. Cool. I've only heard good things about it, and it sold like 15 million copies or whatever. So I'm still kind of curious about it. Obviously, I do still have my Switch and everything, so there's that. But yeah, I might look into it at some point. I've got a lot of stuff I'm gonna potentially be playing. Watch Dogs Legion came out, and Assassin's Creed Valhalla comes out next week, and then there's gonna be Cyberpunk sooner or later.
In
Um,
theory.
yeah, in theory. Yeah, maybe that game's not real. I don't know. No, I mean, I think it will probably get its December 10th release date. But it remains to be seen. Went back to Pro Evolution Soccer because I fancied playing a football game, but just something different. And when I played PES, which is what it's short for, Pro Evolution Soccer, PES. When I played it before, I did it only in the coach mode. Now I'm actually like, controlling all the players on the pitch and everything. It's quite a good game actually. I do quite like it. Apart from I was doing a Twitch stream last night. Actually, I did two. I did two last night and I did one today. And I was doing this little demonstration thing on because you get basic shooting, advanced shooting, and then manual shooting. And I've ended up going with basic just because it's a bit simpler. Just the way you sort of um how could I kind of describe it? Like you're running forward in one direction, and then if you've got advanced shooting on, you have to sort of change the analog stick to a different direction, and it's just a bit more convoluted than what it actually needs to be. I feel like FIFA, the shooting on that is just a lot sort of more streamlined and a lot simpler. But other than that, I think the game's pretty good. I like the sort of physics of it. Um, every now and then you'll sort of completely miscontrol the ball or pass the ball in the wrong direction or something like that. So there's that as well. But if for those of you that are curious, they're not on the website at the moment. I might put them on there. I don't know. But on the YouTube channel, the Entertainment Talk Players YouTube channel, the streams are available on there. There's only one that's not on there, which is the one I did this afternoon. But it's been quite good. I did a two different sort of custom cup competitions, which is where you can put whatever teams you want in there and then figure that all out for yourself. I might do I don't know whether to do one more tournament or to just jump into a actual Master League and then just stream the Master League. So it's like an actual season kind of thing, so I can win competitions and win the league or whatever. I'll figure that out eventually. I might just do like a shorter competition just to sort of get bit more trained with the game as well, because I feel like I've got some of the mechanics down with it, but it's just getting used to that as opposed to playing FIFA, which I am actually still playing both of them at the moment. So there's that as well. But yeah, it's worked out pretty well so far. What was the other thing I played? Played a little bit more Call of Duty today. It's been working a lot better in the last week or so. I don't know. I think it was the. I think I mentioned this last week or the week before when they did the Halloween Warzone update. It just completely messed about with the servers, and it got to a point before it sort of fixed itself where like I couldn't invite people to my game and I couldn't join other people's games, so I was always playing with random people, which is just not very fun. And no offense to French people, but it's no good me playing with French people because I can't understand them and they can't understand me. So there's that as well. But no, the game seems to have sort of fixed itself a little bit. But it's been working a lot better the last couple of days, so that's been quite good. Watched a couple of shows and stuff. Those have been. I did watch. How many episodes have I seen? 2 episodes, I think, or 3 episodes of Truth Seekers. So that's been one of the other things I've been kind of doing. You said you're on
weirdly
episode 7?
dark show.
Yeah,
weirdly
kind of.
dark. I mean, not like super dark, not like morbid or anything. It's just that considering it's a Nick Frost production and it's got Simon Pegg in it, you wouldn't think it'd be that dark, but it is.
Yeah, but that's been good as well. What was the other thing that I played? Played a little bit more Crash Bandicoot 4, tried to get some of the gems and stuff. I'll be honest, it feels a little bit overwhelming when I go into Crash Bandicoot 4 just because there is just a ton of stuff for me to collect, and that's very much a long-term thing. I'm not trying to collect everything on the game by next week. We'll see how that goes in the future. I've still got to go back to Last of Us 2 as well and kind of completely finish that up. Because both those games are obviously very special to me. But yeah, I'm jumping a little bit in between games at the moment. I'm mainly waiting to be sent Watch Dogs Legion, which I made a mistake on, by the way, because I put a space in my rentals list and then I left the G.I. game on my list for some reason. And I got sent that instead of Watch Dogs. So yeah, I did play a little bit of it, the G.I. game, just to see what it was like. I didn't know anything about it at all. Played a little bit of it. I've sent it back because it's not going to be a game I'm going to finish or whatever. So I'm mainly just switching between a few games at the moment, and then I'm going to go and play Watch Dogs Legion whenever that happens. And then Assassin's Creed comes out like next week, and then there's a whole bunch of other games coming out soon as well. Little Hope anthology thing, that the second one for that is out. Dark Pictures anthology thing, whatever it's called. Yeah, Man of Maiden was the first one, and this one's called Little Hope or something. The new one that they've got, that's come out as well. So plenty of things to go and play. I just need to be sent some things as well. So we will see how that goes in the future. But that's pretty much everything we've been doing and playing. Let's get into a bit of housekeeping. We'll see you for that in a second.
Hey there, I'm Aaron Holman, host of Eye to Eye, a weekly podcast talk show all about passion.
I have this passion and this fire within me that burns brighter than the fire around me.
Flow.
With performing, there's always a story to tell, whether it's my own or not.
And creativity.
I go, he's more than cute, he's creative.
All with an LGBT twist. Make sure to check out Eye to Eye, that's EYE, number 2, letter I. And rate and subscribe on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen in today.
I'm Christy.
And I'm Jackie.
And we are Killer Fun. We explore the intersection of crime and entertainment every other week.
For as long as people have been communicating, they have been talking about who did what to whom, and is that socially acceptable?
Because the boundaries of society,
crime,
and entertainment have always gone hand in hand.
The more salacious,
or weird,
the better. From books and movies
to television shows and games,
we look at how life and art imitate and inform one another.
And we can't get together and not laugh. So let's face it, there's going to be laughing.
Killer Fun is available anywhere you listen to podcasts, so join us.
If you'd like to get started with a domain name and a website today, just click on the link in the show notes and that will take you over to Koalu to get started. They also have a live support chat system that you can use, which is in the bottom right hand corner. So get started with a new website and domain name today with Koalu. Hey everybody, if you would like to get the ad-free versions of all of our podcasts and support Entertainment Talk along the way, all you need to do is head over to patreon.com/entertainment talk. Sign up either as a creator or as a Patreon, there's no difference there. That's just the option for either becoming a creator now or just staying as a patron for the moment. And then all you need to do is support us at the $1 level tier. That will get you access to all of the ad-free podcasts that we've done in the past, and get you access to all the ad-free podcasts in that month as well. So it's a great way to support us on Entertainment Talk and to get rid of the ads and get your ad-free podcasts. You can also become a patron at the $3 level tier. That gets you access to ad-free podcasts and allows you to redeem a review of a TV show or a film of entirely your choice. That's one per month for either a TV show or a film review, which is at the $3 level tier. As always, thank you very much for listening. Back to the show. Alright, recently on Entertainment Talk, what have we got for you here? Did a couple of podcasts today. Actor and Actress Spotlight is back, episode 8, focusing on John Boyega. I did put a poll out on Twitter, and it was between Kristen Bell, Chris Pratt, Millie Bobby Brown, and John Boyega. I thought I'd choose 2 actors, 2 actresses, and people that are very different from each other. But John Boyega won the vote, and I'm going to do another one of those soon. I think that's quite a good way to do it, actually, because if I've got multiple actors or actresses that I want to talk about, I can sort of leave it up to Twitter to decide. But that's today's episode. Talked about his Star Wars career and how that ended up going kind of not particularly great for different reasons. Talked about seeing him for the first time in Attack the Block in 2011. And he's literally about 2 years older than myself, so that was kind of cool to look at as well. Did the 3rd episode of Analyzing Television, this one talking about Quibi. Quibi is going to be shut down, the mini streaming service, which was originally only for phones, and then got you were able to cast it to Chromecast and other things as well. It doesn't matter, it's going to be closing down, I think, in December at some point, and I talked about that and all the various different reasons as to why that's happened. Did you ever look into that, Quibi?
No, I never got started on that.
No? Okay. It's funny because you look at certain comment sections of news of it shutting down, and some people didn't know that it existed, which is not a good sign. But there's that as well. Fear the Walking Dead still continuing. Season 6 episode 4 was this week's episode. Let's Play Sunday episode for Iron Man VR. Did a, not really a review for a particular season, but I wanted to talk about a show called Working Mums. It's not like one of them Real Housewives shows, don't worry, it's much better than that. This is a show that airs, I think, on CBS in the US, as far as what I looked up. Airs on Netflix in the UK. I think it might be on Netflix in the US as well, but just check your local streaming services, I guess. Talked about that. It's just absolutely phenomenal. It's a really good TV show. Gave it a must-see review, and basically did a complete spoiler-free discussion on it in the first half, and in the second half of the podcast didn't talk about spoilers, but talked about the characters and what some of them do, but not sort of the outcomes of those. There's no actual story spoilers in there or anything, so you can go and listen to that if you want to as well. United cast, Man United lost 1-0 at home to Arsenal in the Premier League. We cannot seem to get any results at Old Trafford at the moment in the Premier League. It's actually a little bit strange. But there's that game. We play against Istanbul tomorrow night in the Champions League for the 3rd game, and I'll be talking about that. Let's Play Sundays for Crash Bandicoot 4. Discovering Star Trek Discovery's on Season 3 Episode 3. Season 3 Episode 4 will be on Friday. United cast for last week. Man United beat Leipzig 5-0, and Marcus Rashford, which I'm sure is a name that you've all heard of at the moment, given he's been in the news for all good reasons lately. He scored a hat-trick as well against Leipzig, and that was fantastic. And lastly, Walking Dead will be on up to Season 1 Episode 4. We'll be doing the Episode 5 podcast tomorrow, so stay tuned for all of that. And that's pretty much everything that's been happening on entertainmenttalk.org and on podcast platforms. Let's get into some news. Alright, shall I go first this week? You go first? I don't know how we...
Yeah, you can go ahead. Go first.
Alright, cool. So we've got our PS Plus and our Games with Gold games for November 2020. So let's get into those. The first edition is Bug Snacks for PS5, which will of course have to have a PS5 to download it, or to put it on your system and that sort of stuff. Hollow Knight for PS4 and Shadow of War for PlayStation 4 as well. And yet again, I think that PlayStation, I mean, we haven't read the Games of Gold yet, but we'll do that in a minute. But I think PlayStation wins this month quite easily again. This is something I've been talking about for a few months, that in terms of PS Plus, PS Now, Games with Gold and Game Pass, it seems to be more of an effort put into PS Plus and Game Pass as opposed to PlayStation Now and Games with Gold. How do you feel about these selections for PS Plus?
Yeah, they're definitely good games. I do think it's interesting that they're putting a PS5 game on there. I mean, technically they don't have to do that, so.
Yeah, because you can get... So if you've got PS Plus at launch, not only can you get Astro's Playroom, because that is like literally installed, I think, on your PlayStation when you get it. There's all the PS collection games like God of War, Uncharted, is it Bloodborne? We read the list out a few weeks ago. There was like 10 games or something that came with PS Plus. And then you'll be able to get Bugsnax, a game that they've... I still don't really know anything about that game, but it's one of them situations where I don't particularly care to, necessarily.
Did you ever play the Viva Pinata games?
I think I watched somebody play them when I was at high school, but I never played them myself.
I don't know this for sure, but it looks a lot like that.
Okay. Just everything I've seen from the game so far, like premise, the trailers, what it looks like, none of it particularly interests me. But that's totally fine. If other people want to go and play it and enjoy it, then that's great as well. Plus it's free, so that's really good. But interesting that they've got a PS5 game available from November as well, which is quite good. So, have you played Hollow Knight or you've played Shadow of War, haven't you? I think.
Yeah, I played Shadow of War. I had owned it for a while. I got rid of it. I'm trying to remember if that's the one where they had to rewrite the whole game just to get the loot boxes out of it.
That was the sequel, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know which one was which. The Shadow of Mordor and then Shadow of War.
Mm-hmm.
I think so. But yeah, no, I remember that it was like littered with loot boxes, and you could do all sorts of things with what are they called? The enemies, Nemesis system.
Nemesis system.
It
Yeah.
was something to do with that, with a microtransaction problem or a loot box problem, and they had to figure the whole thing out. Hollow Knight I've played. I didn't particularly click with me. I could see why people like it. And the Shadow games, I played a few hours of the first one, and I got really, really sick and tired of the main narrator saying like, hey, we need to get the ring from Sauron like every 10 minutes. And it got a bit too much. I thought the gameplay was alright. It's just, the story and the characters I thought were a pretty big letdown. I can't remember if I got to where you meet Gollum in the first one. I think that I did, but I can't completely remember. Games with Gold, we've got Aragami Shadow Edition available 1st to 30th of November. Swim Sanity available from 16th November to December 15th. Full Spectrum Warrior available from November 1st to 15th. And then Lego Indiana Jones, probably the first one, available from November 16th to November 30th. I think that Lego Indiana Jones sticks out here as a fun, potential good game. But I think all the others are a pretty big letdown. I did play Origami Shadow Edition. I don't know if it was the Shadow Edition version, but I did play that on Nintendo Switch, and it was good. It was a little bit clunky in certain points, and the view that they gave you on the Switch made it kind of hard to see the game, which is something you've got to keep in mind when you're making video games. But I played like a couple of hours of it. I don't remember paying it was through Boomerang that I rented that, I remember as well, so I didn't like pay anything for it. I paid my monthly rental thing, but I didn't pay anything for the game. What do you think of this? Another poor month, I feel, for Games with Gold.
Yeah, I mean, Full Spectrum Warrior is kind of a classic, so it's one of those that if you haven't ever played it, it's not terrible to play. The one thing I will say is that Xbox does an amazing job of making, especially older games like original Xbox games, look not terrible as part of their backwards compatibility. As longtime listeners of the podcast know, I don't play Lego games. They're just way, way too grindy for me. But yeah, nothing really jumps out at me as a has to play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. That's the case with that. So that's your games with gold for November for 2020, and we'll see what they offer for Christmas. I do agree in a way that, it's good to offer 360, Xbox One, and original Xbox games. They just need to choose better games. It's sort of like you have an opportunity here with like making selections from 3 different generations of games. As you've got so much to choose from there. I just don't feel like they're choosing the right games every month. I feel like they sort of make one or two one game stick out every month, which for me this month is the Lego Indiana Jones games, and then the rest are just, I don't know. I mean, Swim Sanity and Full Spectrum Warrior, I don't think I'd heard of before. So, because you got things like that Simpsons Hit and Run game that was I think that's available on original Xbox. I think it was on Xbox, GameCube, and PS2. Like that would be a really, really big game to get for games with gold, especially as it's not available on. I don't think that game's backwards compatible through Xbox. I haven't heard anyone say that it is, but that would be a pretty big get for Xbox Plus, because you wouldn't see a PS2 game be a PS Plus game for PlayStation. They just don't really do that, because now you're probably going to get PS4, PS5, and the odd sort of bonus PSVR game every few months. So there's that as well. Let's talk a little bit about the PS5 Media Remote. We'll have dedicated buttons for Netflix, YouTube, Spotify, and Disney Plus. So the 4 of them, 2 and then 2. How those buttons will be laid out. The console will launch with Apple TV, which I assume includes Apple TV Plus, because it's probably the same platform. Disney Plus, Netflix, Spotify, Twitch, and YouTube. My question for you, Robert. I mean, you don't work for PlayStation, so I don't know if you'd be able to answer this. No Amazon listed here particularly. That doesn't mean it's not going to launch on PlayStation, but that would be a pretty odd scenario if it didn't. What do you think?
Yeah, that's super weird that that's not listed on there. Maybe they can't get it working. Maybe I don't know how that works, but I have to assume Amazon would have to write that app and then submit it for certification. So maybe they just haven't gotten around to doing that yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'm going to assume this is mainly for the UK, because this doesn't include things like HBO Max, Hulu, CBS, All Access, Peacock. Those the ones that aren't available over here either. It didn't say anything about Now TV, which is basically Sky in the UK. But yeah, what do you think of the selection of the dedicated buttons? You've got Netflix, YouTube, Spotify, and Disney Plus. What would you have as your dedicated buttons?
I don't know. I'm actually probably going to get rid of Netflix here soon. They're jacking their rates up again. I just don't have any interest in paying $14 a month for that now. Disney Plus, I don't really watch a whole lot either.
Mm-hmm.
So it'd probably be more Hulu than anything else.
Yeah, so Hulu, YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
What else do you use?
I mean, I try them all eventually. The broadcast channel that shows the CW shows actually shut down here in my local area, so I have to have the CW app to watch anything CW related. I did see the first episode of Swamp Thing. That's on there now. So.
Oh yeah, I forgot they do. How are they doing that on the CW?
CW has a mobile app, so.
No, I mean, because the show's really gory.
Yeah, I mean they they don't show all the gore, but
okay, so
they
it's
have
like
to
a censored version.
Yeah, I mean you hear there's a dead air where the swearing is, so they won't let the swearing on the mobile app for some odd reason.
Well, it's a network channel, isn't it? So
yeah.
I would probably have YouTube, Netflix, Amazon, if it's definitely on the thing, and then probably I do use Spotify a fair bit actually. But yeah, Amazon, Netflix, YouTube. At the moment, possibly Disney Plus, because I'm watching the 2016 animated Spider-Man series, Mandalorian weekly. I've got a few films on Disney Plus that I want to see, and there is the what's the other show that's on there? Can't remember, but I'm using that a little bit at the moment, so that will be the other one. Because Now TV I kind of dip in and out of depending on what's on there at the moment. But yeah, pretty much Netflix and YouTube have got to be my most two used apps, I think. It'd be good if you could maybe put a game on there as well. I mean, some people were commenting about, they should make these buttons customizable. Even if they still have the logo of like Disney Plus on it, you should be able to change it so that it's maybe a game. So if you're maybe someone that, I don't know, plays Destiny almost every day, or one of the live service games, or something like that you should be able to do something with that as well. So I think Gary Whitter on Twitter said that he would prefer if Twitch was one of the buttons that you could use on there. So, but that's what you have available for you at the moment anyway, and we'll see if Amazon does actually launch on PS5. It's not been confirmed, but it would be very strange if it wasn't. So we'll see how that goes. That's unfortunately all the news that I do have. You've got some news as well, and then we've got some emails to get into later. So what do you want to talk about this week?
Yeah, well, there was an investors call with Blizzard Activision, so we actually have 3 Blizzard Activision newses this week. The first is that Activision Blizzard president and COO Daniel Algray, I think is how you pronounce it, said that the company will eventually bring all of its franchises to mobile devices. So I'm not quite sure, how you're going to get some of these games on. They're going to bring it to mobile. Like every franchise they have at some point is going to be on mobile.
I wonder how that will work.
I don't know, but apparently there is a Call of Duty mobile right now.
There is actually. I don't know anything about that. There is a few. Sometimes in the corner on Call of Duty, it will give you little ads for certain things. Not anything that's massively intrusive. I mean, you'd have to deliberately look in the corner to see it. But just things like, Halloween season is out, and then it will say about the Call of Duty mobile game. I have no idea what that even looks like, so I'm guessing it's just it's obviously a tap on screen kind of thing. But it's funny with, like, it doesn't matter if it's third person or first person shooter. I don't know how a game like that functions on mobile really, where because you've probably got the on-screen analog sticks, which I've tried on certain mobile games, and it's just very, it's not really particularly great. And then you're sort of tapping on the screen to shoot and stuff, because when you're kind of holding a phone with your 8 fingers and then you've got your 2 thumbs on the screen, you're a little bit limited with how much you can sort of reach. That's why I remember when when Fortnite was announced for mobiles, and I said, like, how are you gonna do, you got like jumping and crouching and reloading and shooting and all the building as well, and you've only got 2 thumbs realistically that you're gonna do that with, as opposed to when you're holding a controller and you can press multiple buttons at the same time. So I mean, if we're talking about Activision Blizzard here, and if they're talking about Overwatch as well, I don't really know how that is going to work the same way either.
Yeah, now remember, this is just the franchises, not the game, so we don't know how the game is going to look.
Could do something different with it. So
yeah, because there's a Crash game that's in the works. It's going to be an endless runner.
That was quite fun, actually.
Yeah, and there's a Diablo Immortal, which is, I don't know if you ever saw that, but when they were doing,
have phones too?
Yeah, well, no, that was after the fact, but when they originally announced it, and it was a mobile game, you could hear the air just getting let out of the room as everyone was just like, ugh.
I remember that video.
It was right up there when Valve announced the game, and it wasn't Half-Life 3. You could just hear everybody being completely gutted.
Yeah. But we have phones too, apparently. It'd be interesting to see what they do, because they do have quite a few different franchises as well. I mean, you've got if you're talking Activision and Blizzard, or Activision Blizzard, you've got Spyro, Crash, Call of Duty, not Blizzard, Diablo, Overwatch, Call of Duty, Tony Hawk. Tony Hawk's probably going to be one of the easiest to do mobile games with, I guess. What other ones have they got as well? Spyro be kind of in. I reckon they'll probably do a Spyro like runner sort of game if Crash is going to be a success, but we shall see. So but what ones would you like to see from them on mobile?
Honestly, I don't know. I can't imagine half the games that they have as any kind of a mobile game.
Yeah,
so I'm really just drawing a blank on that one.
Yeah, So we'll see how that works out. What else did you want to talk about from them?
Well, as part of the investors call and fireside chat, Activision Blizzard announced that it made $1.2 billion, that's with a B, from July to September in microtransactions. So obviously everybody's stuck at home, so there's nothing else to do but, buy crap you don't really need. But yeah, I mean, that is quite a lot. Especially for a 3-month time period.
Yeah. If you'd have said that was from like a year to a year or something, that would have made a bit more sense. But no, that's crazy. A couple of months. So July to September for this year. September for this year.
September, which is up 70% from the same time period last year.
Damn, I mean, it's really crazy because I hear now and again different microtransaction numbers, and you think like, okay, you take the microtransaction numbers, whether or not it's microtransactions or loot boxes, it's still, kind of the same thing, whatever. You take like the either $500 million some of these companies make, or the billions that these companies make, and then that's not even including like the game sales. So you look at something like that. That's what I think people don't realize about EA and FIFA. Like, not only is that game probably going to at least be in the top 5, at least for the month. I think FIFA 21 came out in October this year. Not only is it guaranteed to be in the top 5 for sales and probably still sell 10 or so million. I don't know how many millions of copies they sell of FIFA every year, but at least a good few million. So you got that, and then you got that times $60 or £45, or sometimes £55, depending on what version or whatever you're getting. And then you got the loot boxes and the Ultimate Team stuff and everything else on top of that. Yeah, it's crazy how much money this all adds up to. This is why I say things again like don't accept bad AAA video games, because they've got the money to be able to make better video games. And I'm not talking about every single company, not every game's got microtransactions and loot boxes in them, but there's just too many scenarios sometimes where a bad video game's come out to where a company could probably have spent more money on it to simply make the game better, and that's why we shouldn't accept bad AAA video games. Plus, it's literally the developer's job to make a good video game, so you got that part of it as well. But what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, according to the article, the bulk of that was from Modern Warfare and Warzone. Those microtransactions were up 400% from the same time last year. And something I didn't know, that Activision Blizzard owns King, which is the company that owns Candy Crush.
Oh.
So that's part of that microtransaction bulk as well.
Yeah, buying lives and all that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I haven't played Candy Crush for like 6 years or something. I don't know.
One guy I know described deleting Candy Crush off of his phone as getting out of a toxic relationship.
Sounds about right. Yeah, I mean,
Yep.
These things can become an addiction, as much as playing normal video games can be an addiction, so can, hey, I'll just buy another life and another one and another one. Oh, it's only £1 or whatever, or 80 pence, and you buy another and then another and then another. And then sometimes you're in a situation where you just need one more life to where you're going to get to the next stage, so it's another one, and it's unfortunate. But yeah, I mean, if you've been addicted to one of them games and you've been able to peel yourself away from them and delete them off whatever device, it's probably taken a lot more strength than what a lot of us would realize for people to do that. So, because it's just like a lot of different YouTubers have said before that this stuff it is pretty much gambling, depending on the exact mechanic that you're actually trying to unlock. I mean, if you're going to purchase something on a game and it's very specific, as opposed to more of a loot box scenario where you don't know what you're going to get out of it, that is pretty much the definition of gambling. So yeah, credit to you if you're able to peel yourself away from those types of situations. Cool. What else did you want to talk about today?
Well, the third bit of Blizzard news is the announcement for BlizzCon. As you know, BlizzCon was canceled this year because of COVID. As part of the fireside chat, company president J. Allen Brock revealed that the online version of BlizzCon will be totally free this year. The event is running from February 19th to 20th, 2021. So there's no specific way to view it online. They do say, I'm guessing it's like Twitch or something like that.
Yeah.
Some things announced for is going to be Diablo 4, Diablo Immortal, Overwatch 2. Hearthstone is going to have some updates. StarCraft 2 is receiving a major update. World of Warcraft is going to get some play. And Shadowland expansion before 2020 is over, but no real confirmation on that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, gosh, when was the last time they talked about Overwatch 2? It was only the other day someone mentioned that it had been over a year since the game was announced, and I don't recall the last time that I forgot the game was actually in development, Overwatch 2, because they've just gone dead radio silent on it. So, I mean, in terms for me and the Activision Blizzard stuff, I'm much more interested in the Activision games, Call of Duty, Spyro, Crash, Tony Hawk, maybe a few others. Blizzard, I haven't played Overwatch for probably at least a few years at this point. Diablo I'll probably not really get into, but I'm just curious to see what they'll say about Overwatch 2, because it's been a very, very long time since I've seen anything on that game. So what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I played it for a bit. I was trying to learn the game and never really clicked with me too much. See, I'm not sure that game really needs a sequel, because you've got so many heroes and so many characters. To ask players to completely abandon everything they've spent literally, 4 or 5 years learning, playing strategy-wise. Actually, that is a question. When did Overwatch originally release?
I think it was 2016, because I'm sure it won the 2016 Game of the Year.
Hang on, I'm just Googling it real quick. Yeah, May 24th, 2016. So you're honestly going to ask, everybody in the community to just give up everything they've already known, so that just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I think the only way I take interest in Overwatch 2 is if I think they're supposed to have a single player campaign story for this one, because they got some, it's an interesting world. There's some interesting lore in there, some cool characters, and even with the little shorts and stuff that they've done in the past, there's always been a bit of life there that you could really work with and stuff. I mean, that's ripe for it doesn't have to be Netflix, but a TV series as well could be quite good. But yeah, I'd be curious to see what they could do with a like an actual story mode for it, because that would pretty much be the only reason I'd play Overwatch 2. So, how about you? Would you play it for a story or something?
I might try it just to see what it's about. I don't know if I would play it all the time. That's just really kind of it would have to depend on the gameplay.
Mm-hmm. Cool. All right, what else do you want to talk about today?
Well, fresh from the desk of who the hell asked for this, I'm betting nobody. Recently formed Swedish developer Shark Mob is taking the Vampire the Masquerade IP and turning it into a battle royale. The trailer, which is on the webpage that I'm referencing, shows vampires leaping across rooftops and doing battle in the streets of modern European city. They fire guns at each other using explosive vampire powers to attack and defend themselves. And at the end, it's a battle royale game. I mean, seriously.
Mm-hmm.
What the hell? What in the actual hell?
We have another. Yeah. How many battle royale games is there at the moment?
I don't know. I'm
quite a few. Certainly quite a few.
I forget if I'm like 80% is sure that I've mentioned this on podcast before, but have you ever seen the movie Other People's Money?
No. What is it?
It's a mid-90s Danny DeVito movie, but he's basically, a business type, and he's trying to take over a business to liquidate it. And it's really kind of it's a statement on business and acquisitions and things like that, but it also had a really interesting line in it. Well, he's defending why he's doing what he's doing. He said, "The surest way to go broke is to get an increasing share in a decreasing market." So you got to figure battle royales are going down in popularity, but yet people keep coming out with them. So
yeah, or at least crashing to the point where the best will survive, I guess. Because I mean, you've got Warzone, which is really popular. Fortnite. that's really popular. Apex. Those are pretty much the top three. I mean, PUBG's still out there somewhere. Again, I haven't even heard anyone say the name PUBG this whole year. I don't think. I don't remember last time we had a news piece for PUBG in the podcast, or the last time I saw someone streaming it, or someone said that they were playing it online. But I think PUBG is still out there. So, but
yeah, and think about like MMOs. I mean, if you go from like 2000 to maybe like 2014, it seemed like we were getting a new MMO every single year, sometimes 2 or 3 a year, and now they're like none almost. I mean, I know WoW's still out there, but WoW will never die.
Did Battlefield ever release theirs? I can't even remember.
I don't know because I don't really follow that franchise. So
yeah, now I remember when they announced one for, it's either Battlefield 1 or Battlefield 5, because one of them came out after the other. Because Battlefield 1 was supposed to be like a World War II game or something, and I think that was gonna have a battle royale. There was supposed to be a Battlefield battle royale coming out at some point, and I can't remember if it actually got released. So that's another one. So yeah, no, I'm not including things like Destiny, because that's not a battle royale. But yeah, there's still a bunch of these things. I mean, Ubisoft's trying to do a few of these as well. So yeah, but we have another one. So I still think it'll be a situation where at the end of the day, Warzone probably survives because it's doing really well. Fortnite, I think, will pretty much always be around, and Apex seems to still get played now and again by certain people. So we will see what happens with all these games in the future. What else did you want to talk about today?
Well, remember last week when we talked about how there was a company selling custom faceplates for the PS5?
Yeah.
They're gone. They're shut down.
They're gone, just like Quibi.
Yep, PlateStation5.com has already been forced to rebrand to CustomMyPlates.com following a complaint from Sony legal team earlier this week. But now the seller claims that subsequent legal threats to go to court over the faceplate has forced the company to stop selling the products entirely and refund all the pre-ordered purchases. The guy behind the company says, before we launched, we did our due diligence, and we were of the opinion that because Sony only has patents pending on the faceplates, there would be no problem. But only a day after our website went live, Sony lawyers asked us to change the name due to trademark infringement, which I can kind of understand that. We thought the switch would be enough to keep everybody happy, and honestly, we were hoping so, since we were already underway with product development. But then Sony's lawyers told us that it was their opinion, Sony's IP extended to the faceplate, and that if we continue to sell, they will end up in court, which nobody wants to go to court.
Nope. Not in this day and age. Yeah, it's a bit of a shame. I do think that this feels like a little bit of a scenario where you've got that corporate version of Sony that's come out and sort of put their foot down. And I understand, if it's got the trademark name on it and that sort of thing, that makes sense. But this sort of feels, now I could be wrong about this, but I'm gonna say it anyway. This sort of feels like a scenario where, okay, Sony, you should either do this yourself or let someone else do it. Because I don't really want a scenario where, okay, they've said no to this company, threatened them with lawsuits and whatever a little bit, sent them an email and stuff. It's sort of like, okay, if you shut them down, which again you've done for understandable reasons, there's the trademark thing and everything, but I can't see Sony turning around and saying like, hey, this thing happened, and then we're gonna make our own faceplates. They just don't really seem like the type of company to actually kind of do that, which is a little bit disappointing, because I really like being able to customize your consoles and the controllers and that sort of cool stuff. So yeah, what do you make of this situation?
Yeah, it's so weird. It's almost like Sony doesn't want people buying their PlayStation, because this is just another move that's just going to piss off fans.
Yeah. Plus, wouldn't it, like, I don't know, let's say someone, I'm not saying that this website could make someone say, okay, I can get a custom faceplate, now I'm going to buy a PlayStation 5, but it would just be, I feel like it would actually be better PR for Sony if they were like, let this company do this, and then it could kind of, I don't know, the PR around PS5 could look a little bit better. I don't know, it just sort of feels like evil corporate Sony has come out and said like, no, this has got our name on it, you can't do that, and we probably won't either. So nobody's gonna end up doing it.
No fun for you.
Yeah. Also, what's the? I know it's so that you can actually open up the console and stuff, but why would you make removable faceplates like the 360's got, which we talked about I think last week? Why would you make those and then not make it so that you can do your own customizable ones? Or I mean, Xbox has got the whole like Streamlabs thing, which people really like and use, and you can like put your name on the controller and have. Can't you have like every button as a different color or something, and you can have
the customizable thing? That's shut down right now as they retool for the new Series X controller.
Okay.
But yeah, you can do all that, and plus the plates are removable. They made them that way so that you could vacuum out your PlayStation. So, I mean, granted, technically, yeah, it is part of it. And changing the name, I don't mind a whole lot because it is, Plate Station. So I can understand asking them to change that name. That I don't have an issue with, but yeah, it just makes no sense.
Yeah. But I just don't understand the evil corporate side of them where it's like, no, you can't do this, we're not going to do it either, and nobody else basically can. Because then if a different company comes up with some other sort of name, I can't think of one off the top of my head, but another name to where that they can do their own faceplates, surely Sony's going to go over to whoever that's going to be and shut them down and then still not make their own ones. So I don't know, it's a disappointing situation, definitely. So I mean, it doesn't mean that PlayStation 5 itself will be worse or that the games will be worse. It just means that it will be less customizable. So, which is a shame. Cool. What else did you want to talk about today?
Well, the last thing I have to talk about is Microsoft. Normally, when they launch a new console, they just throw a huge party. I don't know if you look back on the history and see either their Xbox or their Xbox One launch parties, but they go all out. Obviously, with COVID, you can't do that, so they're going to be hosting a live streaming event on November 10th, the day that the console launches. The company said that this event is meant to be a companion for your already existing gaming plans that day. There's going to be Let's Play segments, and you'll be invited to play along the content creators on stream. Microsoft refers to this as grabbing your device of choice, and you don't have to have an Xbox to play it as part of Game Pass, xCloud, things like that. So yeah, it's going to be 2 p.m. Eastern time, which I think is 7 p.m. your time?
Yeah.
And it's going to be on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook Gaming.
Cool. Do you know what's interesting that I just noticed? We just talked about like the evil corporate Sony that doesn't want people to make custom faceplates, and then you've got, again, a digital kind of party. We've literally switched from an evil Sony corporate story where they don't want people to make faceplates, and they're probably not going to do it themselves, and then switch to, hey, Xbox is like celebrating, or Microsoft's celebrating the launch of Xbox. And I'm not saying that Sony isn't going to do that at a certain point, but we've immediately switched kind of contrasts like on the podcast between the two different big competing companies in the next gen. It's quite interesting. And it has been like that for a little bit of time. Sony's always had that kind of bit of corporateness to them, I suppose. And at least in the last couple of years, since like Game Pass and since Phil Spencer's kind of come in and everything, they have definitely been looked at as the nicer company, I suppose, in terms of like wanting to celebrate things with fans a little bit more and that sort of stuff. But yeah, hopefully this will go really well. And we'll see how things go for it. But what do you think of the sort of differences I've kind of pointed out there?
Yeah, it's just kind of a weird concept for that culture, so...
What do you think of the Xbox event here?
I'm definitely going to check it out at some point. I'm going to be at work, so I don't know how much I'm going to be able to watch, so... Yeah. But I definitely want to check it out for a little bit, see what they plan on doing.
Okay. Yep, we'll look out for that on November 10th, which is, next week on... next week on Tuesday. In a week's time, which is the day that Valhalla Assassin's Creed comes out. So that should be pretty good. What else did you want to talk about today?
That's all I had.
Cool. It's been a little bit light this week on news, but that's Perfectly fine. We do still have some emails to get to. If you want to send in your thoughts, feelings, questions, comments, or maybe concerns about video games or anything related to Entertainment Talk, Matthew at entertainmenttalk.org, Twitter eTalkUK, there's a contact page and information in your show notes. Bethany says, hey lads, how do you feel about violence and sex in video games? Can you think of situations where it's been taken too far and times where it was appropriate? I mean, yeah, you don't want to play a game that's okay. It's a mature game that you're maybe playing at the end of the day, but you don't want any kind of I don't know, it's something that's gratuitous and doesn't sort of serve the story or the characters. Because ultimately, whatever happens in the story or what the characters do in the game that you're playing is supposed to be there to serve either the story or the characters, maybe some sort of character development, or to push the story in a certain direction, or to do something like that. And if you're doing something, not just in terms of sex and violence, but if you're doing something just to kind of do it in a game and to not really push either of those things forward, you're not really doing your job correctly in terms of writing the video game or whatever you're trying to do with it. So yeah, it's just got to be a situation where it actually fits the context of the character's motivations, what's happening in the story, and does it sort of actually fit what's kind of going on. What do you think?
Yeah, I've always been does it fit? Like easier to describe, movies. It's like Braveheart and Kill Bill are both incredibly violent movies. But Braveheart is because, it's war, it's medieval war. That was not a pretty thing.
Yeah.
Kill Bill was just violence for the sake of violence.
Yeah. I don't remember too much of. Was there 2 of those films?
Yeah, there was it was 2-parted.
Yeah. I sort of remember some of them. I remember them being fairly good, but yeah. I mean, it was only a few weeks ago when I gave an example of Last of Us 2, one of the most not just recent violent video games that I've played, but one of the most violent. And yeah, I remember when we were building up to the game and it was kind of revealed sort of what the two cults would be like. And there was a few complaints about, like, the violence in the game and is it necessary and that sort of thing. And I remember saying from day one, if you're in a scenario where, you're in a post-apocalyptic world where it's simply kill or be killed, and these people who are, granted, have a bit more of an aggressive approach, you do whatever you could to survive in that scenario. And then when you put that together with a cult that's got particular ideas about, like, sacrifice or whatever the case may be, that's going to elevate that experience or that particular situation. And you very much see that in The Last of Us 2, and somewhat in the first game as well, but just not specifically with the 2 cults, because they're not really in the first game, or they're not in the first game at all, I don't think. But that's a scenario where you've got that as well. I mean, there's that sex scene in The Last of Us 2, which a lot of people were just really particularly squeamish towards, and I remember hearing about it before I got to it, not like the characters that were involved, but just that there was a particularly sort of gratuitous sex scene in the game. And I remember getting to it and it just I realized it was, very, very adult, but it didn't really faze me in terms of being over the top or unnecessary. It was very much it fit with the scenario that it was in and the 2 characters that were involved and everything like that. So again, it's about context, the situation, the characters involved, what's going on in the story and that sort of thing. So yeah, and obviously you got things like Doom as well, where sure, it's incredibly violent, but that's sort of what that game is. It's a sort of I think gallery shooter is the phrase that I've heard before, where that game is about ripping demons apart and shooting their heads off and using shotguns and exploding their heads and all that sort of thing. So we've got different scenarios in different games. So Harrison writes in again and says, hey guys, thanks for the responses so far. You're very welcome. Me and my son have been playing that Lego Marvel Superheroes 2 game and we really like it. There seems like a lot of value for money here too. Hope you are both well. I think we're both doing very well at this particular point. Thanks for asking. I mean, we're in a week at the moment where in 2 days the UK is going to go back into lockdown, and at some point tomorrow morning the US is going to have a new president. So we live in interesting times, certainly. yeah, I remember playing the Lego Marvel Superheroes 2 game, and there was still quite a lot to do even post story and everything. But like you kind of pointed out earlier, Robert, with the Lego Indiana Jones games or just the Lego games in general, you can kind of go through and do the story without like grinding too much and stuff. But if you want to collect all the characters and that sort of thing, there is a lot of grinding involved, and especially with the Lego Marvel Superheroes game where there's hundreds of characters, I think. I mean, I remember the like Lego menu thing to switch between characters, and it pretty much took up the whole page for the game. So that was cool as well. Anything to add to that?
No, not really.
Okay, fair enough.
I mean, like I've always said, I'm not a big Lego guy because of the grindiness of it. But if you're enjoying it together, that's excellent.
Yep, that's brilliant. So, which ones have you played, by the way? Just out of curiosity.
I know I played one of the Star Wars ones, but I couldn't remember, and I couldn't tell you which one. And this was a long time ago. It's whatever one was. I'd honestly have to look at my Xbox achievements to see which one I played.
Was it one of the Games with Gold ones?
It had to have been a Games with Gold because I don't remember ever buying it.
Okay, yeah, I think they've done all of them as Games with Gold ones. Not the three, not the new trilogy, but the prequels and the original trilogy. They've done as Games with Gold, and then you've got the Skywalker Saga ones coming out next year, where it's going to be all 9 games in that, so that might be quite good to look into. But yeah, the Marvel Lego Superheroes 2 games are pretty fantastic, so that should be good. And that's everything we've got for you for this episode of Random Gaming Talk. Thank you all very much for listening. If you liked what you heard here today and you want to hear more and support what we're doing here, that would be brilliant. You can find everything else that we do on entertainmenttalk.org. If you'd like to support the podcast and Entertainment Talk, we're on Patreon. You can have a look at the $1 and $3 level tiers for instant ad-free podcast options and review options as well. Amazon affiliate link if you're buying stuff on Amazon, maybe that Christmas shopping that you're doing a little bit early, or if you're treating yourself, or maybe both, we can get a small cut of what you spend, but it won't cost you anything extra. iTunes feed, if you search for Entertainment Talk on your favourite podcast platform, you can get yourself subscribed through that as well. And if we're not on your favourite podcast platform, please let us know so that we can look into whatever that is. What's the other things? David is running Geektown, of course. There's a new Geektown episode available today. I haven't listened to it yet because it got released just before I came on the podcast. But if you want to listen to that for your up-to-date, reliable TV and film news, geektown.co.uk and Geektown Radio on iTunes and podcast services. Bex is streaming daily at the moment over on Twitch. Very fun, interesting, cool stuff over there. Gaming and chatter and all sorts of fun, cool stuff. She was doing the Lego building recently, wasn't she? So
she's still doing that.
Still doing it. Cool. Yeah, so you can check her out over there if you search for Trista Bytes. There's Trista, Bytes. Go and follow her and go over there as well. Word of mouth, you can simply tell people that you know about Entertainment Talk, Geektown and Trista Bytes. Social media, you can do the same thing. Facebook, Twitter and different Facebook groups if you can. And lastly, look out for Let's Play Sundays on Sundays as well. Thank you all very much for listening, and we will see you next time. Goodbye.
Goodbye.